G'day, and welcome to the next video in our series on the World Chess Championship Blunders. We've moved on 2 years from the last match, 1894, between Steinitz and Lasker, which Lasker won, become the new world champion. And then in 1895, there was a St. Petersburg tournament, which was supposed to have Lasker, Steinitz, Pillsbury, Chigrin, and Tarish in it. Tarish declined to play. He was a doctor. So you had the 4 players, and what happened is Lasker came first, Steinitz came second, Pillsbury was doing well and kind of slumped. He came third. So because of that, Steinitz effectively was able to raise money for a rematch in 1896, which is the tournament we're going to be looking at. It is quite interesting. Obviously, I'm looking at Wikipedia pages here for information about the World Championship matches, and we're still in the first book of Kasparov's My Great Predecessors, and it's quite interesting to sort of understand a little bit more about the other players and the history behind where the World Championship matches came from. Okay, so moving on to the games itself, have a quick look at this. By the way, the bottom right chart, I forgot to update that between the games last video. Sorry about that. Try and do it this time. Now, the top right chart is, of course, the game score, and you can see that once again, just like in 1894, this was pretty one-sided, and Lasker just sort of when he's the orange and the red, went way ahead, and then game 17, 10 games, he was the winner. And you can even see at this stage, the first blunder we're going to look at is actually it's a series of blunders in game 5, which quite a weird game, where both Steinitz and Lasker made blunders, and the game ended up drawn. You can see that in the bottom right chart, where first of all, Steinitz is white, and then around 27, I think, Lasker makes a couple of blunders, and Steinitz is doing okay, and then Steinitz blunders back on about move 29 or 30. We'll look through it, and the game ended up being drawn. So this was kind of a double blunder one. You'd argue the match was already over, and you see I've improved my charts a little bit just for personal things. So you can see in the top chart it's showing you those STs, Steinitz's blunders, LA's, Lasker, and on the game itself now you can see that Lasker black made a blunder, and then Steinitz blundered back. Right, so that's kind of the background. So let's have a look at this game. The key starting point, I'm showing the position there. Go over to my thing. Right, now this stage is where, actually, there's kind of 2 moves. Either or kind of count as a blunder, but the first move just looks bad. Black played F5. Now, that is a blunder, which Steinitz didn't take advantage of. Just have a quick look at it. See what you think. What White could have done. Pause the video. Have a bit of it. Very, very simple tactic here. Let's have a quick look through it. Just knight takes F5 check. Now a few lines. I mean, obviously, if you can't take back with the pawn because it's pinned. Pawn is pinned. Right, so can't take with the queen, because if black takes with the queen, then white's just going to slide over there, check, and then the bishop will take the queen back. So you can see how poor that move F5 was, and the sort of the logical continuation is king move back to F8, check there. King F7 is actually the only move. All the other moves lead to mate eventually. So king up there. Don't know why my computer's playing up a little bit. And a knight check, and maybe the bishop can take the knight. The black king is just totally exposed and opened. I mean, the rooks are going to get into the game here, and it's basically given about +4. Right. So if we get back to that situation, F5 was just a terrible move, but Steinitz didn't take it. He obviously this intermezzo. He check there, which actually is just have a look. That's actually a blunder, returning the favour. Quick look. Have a look at which sort of move you'd think would be a good move for black in this situation. And once you had a bit of a look, you can see that what black should have done is he should have just moved his king up to F6. So now the problem is that white's queen is under attack, because pawns know this sort of tactic doesn't work anymore. So the queen would have to move. I mean, the given line is queen c6, and then now black's able to untangle, right? And it's basically given us even. Anyway, but we're back to this position. Black didn't move his king. Bishop takes b7. So this is probably just the final the final blunder at this stage, right? So now we have a continuation, which is fairly straightforward. I mean, white is now about +4, right? Queen takes b7 check, king moves up, grab the pawn. I mean, it can't take it back. It's just too open with the queen and the rook and the bishop. So the queen to a better square. And now this is the reverse blunder. Have a look at what you would like to play in this position. See what you think is best. And yeah, this is this is red dot over here. If you see that. So what white should have played in this position is knight back to f4. Now there's a lot of threats here. Obviously that's covering that square, so the bishop doesn't cover anymore, threatening a check with the rook. And just generally the whole exposure of the black position along the 6th and 7th ranks just looks quite awful, right? So anyway, logical thing black would do in this position is take with the bishop. Now there's a few moves which win here. The one the computer actually is giving is this line, and given that the continuation the computer now suggests is sacrificing the queen, you get a sort of realization of how bad black's position is. I mean, look, we can just sort of go through a few alternatives here. Let's say the queen challenges the white queen, so we just add a variation there, right? The line given is just bring the rook up. Queen's going to go anyway, right? Because we'll see in other lines, if the queen goes somewhere, then we're going to take back with the take back here, and then that pawn's going to cover that square, and obviously the rook is completely isolated and exposed, right? So let's just go back. So let's say queen doesn't go there. What's another logical move? Got to move the queen somewhere, right? Let's say move the queen up here, right? Add variation. Then that does become the continuation I suggested. We just take the bishop, and then now we're threatening check up there. It looks really bad, right? And I think we can sort of assume that the black king is not going to survive very long, right? And in the other continuation, it just sort of suggested that we'll look back here in this line here, just like get rid of the queen, right? Obviously, black's losing in their position because the king is still dreadfully exposed. It's clearly easily winning white position, right? So that's what that's what white should have done, Steinitz should have done to win that game. He didn't do that. If we go back to this position, played knight d4, and the problem with knight d4 is it just blocks the rook. Yeah, so now the game's even. Black can just defend because the rook's not participating, and this game just sort of very quickly deteriorated into a perpetual check is how it closes out, right? So that was kind of interesting. As I don't think we can say this game can have much impact on the World Championship match because Lasker's so far ahead already. But this between moves 25 and 30, this is quite sort of relatively low quality play with 2 and 3 move tactics, which were sort of missed by both players. Okay, so moving on, let's see what we think about those blunders in terms of the level. So as we were talking about, it didn't really affect the match overall because Lasker was almost running away with it at that stage. In terms of the game result, it was a draw to a loss, and then a loss to a draw, and then vice versa and whatever. Right? So not overly impactful either in that way. The game did end up a draw, and then the final thing I'd say is that the blunders weren't absolutely abysmal. They were just kind of like sort of middling type of errors. So what we're going to do is we'll just give both Steinitz. Let's go over to my Excel. We'll give Steinitz a 2-star one, and we'll give Lasker a 2-star one. So that's fair. I think that's all fair, right? So that's that. Okay, so that's game 5 done. So let's move on to game 8, the next blunder in this World Championship match. You can see I've already loaded up the round 8 profile of the game. You can see that Steinitz, who was black, developed through the game a comfortable position, pretty much winning, plus 300 his way, and then he made a 1-move blunder, and the game was drawn. So let's have a look at how this happened. We have to go down to, it's around about move 55, and we'll just have a look at the position there. 1 second. Right, okay, so here's the position, right? You can see kind of interesting position here. White has he's just, let's go back 1 move just to see what White in this position. He's down material. He's well down, right? Down the exchange, and just trying to put pressure on the H7 square. Go there, right? It's very weak. And if you have a look at it, the 7th rank is open. So there's a couple of things in White's favour, but obviously the issue here is Black has 2 rooks protecting one another on the C file, and the White King's also exposed from behind. Anyway, so Lasker played Bishop G6 to put extra pressure on the H7 square, and there are many ways which Black can win the game. We'll go into that in a second. Let's have a look at what he played. He played Rook D8. Okay, so have a quick look at this. That throws away the win, and a draw occurs when that Rook finally decides to finish moving. I don't know what's happened there. Good, right. So have a quick analysis. Pause the video if you like, and then see if you can find the drawing line. Right. Once you've done that, let's have a look at what the story is here. White, Lasker, found this move, Rook B7. It's very clever, right? Now, obviously, the Rook's not protected, so let's have a look. I mean, I haven't got this in my continuation. We can look at the continuation. Basically, if Black takes the Rook, which is the logical thing to do, White will now come storming in at F6, and there's not a lot either. Well, first of all, the Rook is going to drop, right? That's one thing. So I guess that's a simple way of looking at it, right? Can block, and then we can take the Rook, and you'd even say, well, that's not too great either. So it's quite difficult to see how, for instance, I mean the computer's just giving 000 there. I mean how's Black going to get out of perpetual check, I guess is one way of thinking about this, right? So that's why the game was drawn. In fact, they agreed to draw straight away after Rook B7. So let's go back before Rook D8 and just have a quick look at what should have played. Now you can see here the alternative move which is suggested, Rook C1. This is threatening to get behind the White King and win the Queen, right? So the logical move there is to get the King out of the way. And now there's a number of moves. I mean that whole sort of threat doesn't work. So basically there's suggesting move the King out of the way. The bishop's not in a good way. The continuation the computer gives is move the Queen up, take, and block with the Queen, and it's plus 4.5 for Steinitz. So that was quite a shame for Steinitz. He needed to start winning games, and just at the very, very last moment he made that mistake. Right, okay, so with that in mind, let us switch over to our Excel here. Yeah, that's probably deserving of a 3-star. It's a bit unfair to Steinitz, but it was a fairly straightforward error, right? Just a couple of move combination, threw away the win. Didn't affect the match score, so 2 to 3 stars. That's sort of the fair way of looking at it. Right. So the next one we're going to have a look at is game. Move forward quite a bit. Game 16. Now, if you just have a look, does it make sense? Yeah, you can see how that's showing up as a Steinitz error on that score. So what I need to do, just give me a moment. I'll go a little behind the scenes here, and I want to load up the game 16 one. Let's work out a way for it to sit there automatically, but never mind. Right, okay, so make sure that looks correct. Yeah, happy with that. So you can see what happened in this. I mean, there's basically two errors of Steinitz, but the one we're going to focus on is the one around about move 24, right, where the game's fairly even, and then Steinitz, black, makes a mistake, and he's down 300 almost straight away. So let's go to that position of this game. Right, here's the position. Right now, black has a slight edge in this position. Yeah, and then he plays a shocking move. Let's just do the shocking move first. Rook takes e4. Have a look at that and see what's wrong with it. Yeah, pause the video. So this is basically just a one-move blunder, right? Because it doesn't really matter which one, but basically, if you look at the continuation as in the game, white plays a knight to c3. Well, there you go. It's forking the rook and the queen. You can take it, forking the rook and the queen, and the knight's gone. Yeah, so it's +4 already. The game does continue. I mean, queen takes c2, not the best move. Knight f6 check. King h8. Pick up that bishop, and then the black picks up that bishop. But if you look at the position, it's like just +4 according to the computer. Basically an exchange and better position. So that was quite a straightforward, just like let's say a one-move blunder, and black lost the game. Right, so that's another Steinitz blunder. So I think we can move to Excel sheet again, and poor old Steinitz. We'll put it in here this time. Give him a 2-star one, right? Because the match is effectively over already. If you just go back to where the match was, we're talking here, right? It gave Lasker his 9th win. Now he only needed to win one more game. And I will pick game 17 as another sort of short example of an error. So just going to quickly, give me a second, bring up a little chart for game 17. And actually load game 17. Right, now, the thing I'm going to look at is not these later errors. I'm going to look at the one around about move 35. So here is the position. It's a little bit tricky, right? Just go back one move. Black, Lasker has just taken the d pawn. Rook takes d4, putting pressure on the bishops. You can see that. Rook's beaming across there. That rook is beaming down there. So that's sort of the issues which white has to deal with. Now, the next move is just an outright blunder. We'll just go through it. I mean, we'll just look at this one quickly. So, queen c3. So the problem we have here is really these loose bishops. They're only supported by the queen, and so the tactic here, as played in the game, is bishop takes g2. Now, if you don't, one choice is to play b3. Suggested line is b3, you know, holding the bishop. But then hey, we can go through that. I actually loaded this up b3, and then you go queen h3. This is looking very nasty. And then, I mean, this is not going to end well. I mean, white will have to move the f pawn to give space to the king, and then, you know, knight h4, for instance. The line given is this: h4, take it, yeah, threatening the rook, threatening queen, h1 check, whole bunch of things. So, and also rook check there, king f2, queen takes check. It's all losing, right? So therefore, if we go back to this position, basically they have to take the bishop. But now you see what happens. We have this queen c6 check, and now we have queen and the rook are both attacking the bishop. So this is the game continuation. white threw his rook in the way. Right, basically, I mean, the alternative was the bishop. This bishop was going to be lost. And maybe that bishop as well, because you take it with the rook, and then you've got both rooks attacking that bishop. So it wouldn't be a good continuation. So that is the continuation of the game. King g1. And you'd say that the worst is over, but black's pawn and exchange up, drop back there, attacks the bishop. The bishop has to move, and maybe black could take the b pawn, but black just consolidates, and it's +3 to black, and went on to win that game. So that was the last game of that World Championship. We won't see Steinitz again. He lost that game, and it was Lasker's 10th win, as you can see there. So once again, you can see it was an even game, and Steinitz's blunder. This wasn't an obvious blunder. You could see that black had to be kind of conscious of the loose bishops there and how those tactics work. So once again, we'll just go on to Excel, and we will copy Steinitz, and we'll give him another 2-star one. Right. So there we go. You can see Steinitz has done a lot of blunders, and they haven't been the biggest blunders, but they've been. He's done quite a few, and they've often lost in the game. And then so it didn't matter against Chigarin, because obviously Chigarin made a few blunders as well, but it really didn't affect the matches against Lasker, because he would probably have lost anyway. But with the extra blunders thrown in there, it just made both of those World Championship matches very, very one-sided. Okay, so that is the end of the 1896 Lasker Steinitz match. So there's that. Won't see Steinitz again, and it's quite a gap until 1907, where I think it's 1907. Double check my Wikipedia. 1907, where he'll be playing Frank Marshall. So that's quite almost 10-year gap between the next game. But look forward to that. Thank you for watching.